Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Like-Minded Creators Podcast. My name is Chris Hamill. Joining me are my tag team partners, Greg Telfayan and Zaki Ali. Together, we are your one-stop shop for everything music business related, as far as how to get your band ready for the stage, in the studio, outside the studio, dealing with each other. And tonight's episode is going to be a little interesting because picture this, guys. You are just starting to play your first shows. You're not playing to anybody, not even your parents, and you want to start networking. How to get your band noticed in the scene, how to get your band noticed by venues, and eventually, how to get your band noticed by unique visitors to your social media pages online. That's the topic of tonight's conversation. So guys, you guys are in bands. You guys have had plenty of years of experience playing in bands. I've had plenty of years of experience watching bands. Mm-hmm. So how do we, where would you like to go as far as getting a band ready to start networking?
It's a great thought-provoking question because as musicians, artists that we are, we're focusing on the writing aspects, getting the songs prepared to go in the studio, all that back work, everything that's being done. What else are you doing in addition to that to be able to have foresight enough to know that you want to release this to the public, right? And it's a lot of times it's not even thought about. So let's say on one of the tiers of things that you're doing, for one tier, you're going out and you're putting yourself out there and playing shows. It's the one thing you can do right now, going out on your own, out of your comfort zone, into places that you've never been before. How do you book those gigs? That's another actual conversation, but let's just say you look up the bands that you want to play with in the different areas that you want to play. In our area, it's New Jersey, so I would go in the local clubs like Dingbats. It's like the one place everybody goes to play. A great, decent club. There's always one or two decent clubs in the area that you're looking in. So I'm just going to take New Jersey, for example. You get in contact with that promoter who runs that on their Facebook or their Instagram, social, whatever, and you reach out to them saying you're interested in playing a show. They'll probably have a slew of bands coming through at some point where they might need an opener. You introduce yourself that way. Then you look for bands in the area that you may be able to team up with and go to a promoter and say, listen, I have 3 bands that I want to play a show with. So we're all going to sell tickets. What do we have to do? Find out what those parameters are and go about accordingly. Okay, so you just put in that time as well on top of everything. Now you have the show booked. You're going to go there. When you're first starting out, there may not be a lot of people. You may have the bands and their girlfriends, and that's the other thing that's really important in addition to what we're talking about. Consider you're going in and you're meeting these bands for the first time, a lot of times it's a little awkward because it's like, yo, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Make it a point to introduce yourself to the band. Make it a point to stay and watch the bands, okay? Yeah, because they're probably going to be your only first line of fans, potential fans that will actually like you in the future because you took the time to sit there and watch them, even if you don't agree with their thing. Yeah. And I see, and you've seen bands just get off stage and take off and leave, and it's
every single show.
It's a bad look.
And I get it. Like, you may have places to be. I mean, I get it. But like, if you want to have some type of local presence, make yourself known, introduce yourself, watch the bands. Okay.
Yeah, like if you're playing a show, like, you're just playing a show because you have to play a show, or are you going to play a show? Like, you
make
gotta
it a
be
thing.
The first one
make
there.
It exciting. He gets more excited than I do because I'm a 40-year-old bitter man. But like, no, seriously, like, be excited. You're gonna go. And what I'm saying is those people that you're seeing are the bands, usually the first, and their girlfriends, and you make friends with them. And it's been my experience where I've been able to do that. And I'm like, be in yourself. You're loving what you're doing. Like, be like living it. Live at like the end result. So like, picture yourself already doing it, and it's going to be that much better going into it. And guys, we'll have a whole thing on personal development and mindset. That's a whole different topic, but it definitely is applicable because you all have to have a certain type of, you want to be respected, you got to respect other people. Mm-hmm. So if you're there and, it starts with the sound guy and it starts that relationship there, and then the couple people at the club that are watching you, get those people to actually subscribe to your email list. Get them on their email list. So now what you've done is you put yourself out there, you put the time, you have skin in the game. Yeah. You can't really market yourself too well yet, but if you get those names, there are people that are there that enjoyed your set, you're going to be able to talk to those people again when you go back there and play, and there may be 20 more people there for you next time. That's the idea, and you can actually prime them to let them know, notify them that you're going to be in the area. Now they're subscribing, but we're going to get to what are they actually subscribing to and what to actually send them and why you should do it in the first place. There's a lot of reasons why, and it comes back down to this. Okay, you've put this whole process in place. If you document that process and you let them in to see that process, they're gonna want to subscribe to you automatically. They already met you. You met them in person. They're curious. They're gonna want to see what's up. So like you can let them know what's going on with the process of each song that you're doing, and we'll be able to break that down in later episodes. But you're taking everything you're doing, and by documenting it, it's like if you have 4 members in the band, it's the 5th guy member in the band or girl in the band that's going to be able to document this, so you can actually release it in a series of sequence for people that you go and play in front of out of your comfort zone that you may not otherwise made the best potential opportunity, made it into a better opportunity. What we're doing is we're parlaying each situation we put ourselves in, and we're making it a better situation for later on. You're putting that investment of time. Make the best of the opportunity. If you have some shirts, if you don't have the shirts made yet and you don't have the money to do that, drop shipping. Have your iPad there. They can order it right on the iPad, right? They could sign right up on the iPad, and you can actually have those names. You may not be prepared to market to them. That's something we'll talk about, but I just covered it in that brief description of what you actually should do to be able to stay in touch with these people.
And you have so many amazing points that you literally was like a minigun of all these amazing points. Like, but one thing I really want to touch on, and this is my experience as a front of house sound guy at a small venue. Yeah. I've been doing live sound for over 10 years now, and I've worked with a bunch of local bands producing their first EPs or demos or whatever for 15 years. So a simple hello goes such a long way. If a band comes in and greets me just to say, hey, what's your name?
It sets the tone.
Mr. Sound Guy, what's your name? Yeah. Hi, I'm Chris. Hi, I'm Paul or whatever, and we're this band. I make the lighthearted joke that my short-term memory is going to be a fucking disaster. I won't remember all of your names, but I'm going to make my effort to remember your names, because like if there's a 5 or 6 band show, I'm not going to remember everyone's names all night. But the bands that come to me and say hello, and they provide me a copy of their set list, if they have any sort of lighting cues or any like pre-recorded intros that
you're going to make sure you get that shit down.
Not only is it going to make me want to do my job better for this band, but it's going to give me the initiative to say to my boss, the promoter of the venue, hey, this band's really good. And especially if you guys kill it on stage too, I'm going to say to my boss, hey, this band is incredible. I want to see these guys back here. Yeah. And there's one band in particular. I want to give them a special shout out. Scarlet King. They just released their first full length album.
Nice.
So shout outs to those guys. They come to the venue all the time. They play dingbats a lot. So like anytime that there's a show, they are clutch players that literally just come in and kill it with every set they do. They are prompt. They are always on time, and they always make an effort to come to me and say, hey, Chris, how you doing? How's things?
Yeah.
And I start to remember all their names.
I like this guy.
Shout outs to Kevin, the bass player. He always comes in and says, hey, how does my tone sound? How does everything sound to you? Like, I want to do my job to make sure you can get a good mix.
Yeah.
So I know this is just one aspect here, but simply being nice to the sound guys at venues and just being nice to the promoters at venues will get you booked for more shows, will get you in with more venues. And if you stay for all the other bands, because I see bands come in, they leave immediately after the set and all their audience leaves with them. Like, it sucks if a headliner band doesn't draw that much and there's a opening act that draws like 50, 60 people and they all leave. It's embarrassing. It happens.
It happens more than you think. And that's what you need to be prepared for. So those situations, get the couple people that are in there. If they like what you hear,
encourage your audience to stay for the rest of the
like
bands.
Being nice to everybody's great. That's the first and foremost line of like a relationship right in front of you that you develop that you're going to have more opportunities for later. But make sure you capitalize on the actual show that the people are there to see a show, and they're going to want to see you again if they watched your band. I don't care if it's 2 people. It was worth it. If you don't get those 2 people, it's 2 people less than you could have had before. When you can go back later and can be 4 or 8 people, right?
I'll make these 2 last points. I'll pitch to Zach here to give his input on this, but when a band comes in and they do everything that I would want to see a band do, if they're on time, they're professional, whatever. Again, like I said, that goes a long way with me and the venue that you're working at and playing at. But if a band is just super cool to talk to as well, even if the band's not the best in the world, but if they're super cool people and they give a nice attitude to everything, attitude speaks volumes more than anything else. If you have crappy attitudes, I don't give a shit how good of a band you are or how much you draw. I'm not going to want to work with you, and the venue's not going to want to book you because we're like, hey, they'll make us a little bit of money one night, but they're kind of assholes, so we don't want to work with them. Yeah, I can name a lot of bands that do this, but like, there was a couple of bands. One band in particular, I want to give another shout out to, a band called Share the Burden. They literally did Share the Burden with George Lynch and Lynch Mob one night. And they provided backline to Lynch Mob. So they brought the cabinets, they brought their gear that Lynch Mob used. Yeah. They stayed the whole show. They were attentive with everything during sound check. And at the end of the day, they said, hey, Chris, you did such a good job for sound for us. They give me a t-shirt that they're selling for $35 at Merch Stand. They gave me $35 free of their money, essentially. That's awesome. And I'm like, guys, I will go to the ends of the earth to like promote you guys. I will go to the ends of the earth to like be friendly to you anytime you come here. So attitude and staying for the whole show speaks volumes.
And again, I'm going to tap into, since we're talking about networking too, it is networking, what he's talking about, and like building that, that rapport, right? The rapport between two people that you're going to come back and work with in the future. That's great. That's what you should be doing. And it's going to trickle down into everything else you do. But don't be afraid to use social media, because I don't use it completely as enough as I should. But I know that if you have other people in the band with you, if you're a band, if you're an artist on your own, it's easier to do one person than a whole band. But at the same point, there's going to be somebody that's going to be handling that stuff. But those people that you're going and playing in shows in front of, and they're seeing your social media, they're going to keep seeing that. It's going to build. So it's going to be exponential. Okay. And it's going to have a compound effect. So if you keep doing that, and then the processes that we talk about, that how you're going to take your music after it's recorded and what you're going to do with it, if you keep releasing music ongoing and this follow a process, you're not going to, bottleneck yourself into a situation where you're just wasting your time. You're making the best of everything you're doing by stacking it correctly. And don't go out of the way to play a show and then just sit there and not do anything about it and then say, I have nobody cares. Then now you know why. You didn't do it from the place that you started. Be resourceful. Use everything you have right in front of you. You don't need all this stuff to do what you need, what I'm talking about. And even, what's good is to go to shows of bands that you like. Get out there and see the bands that you like, and the people are going to see you in the crowd, and they're going to know who you are. I saw Chris Barretto the other day from Monuments. I don't know if he's in that anymore. I don't think he is, but I saw him because we
Monuments
know each other.
Monuments just played Dingbats 2 days ago.
There you go.
Last week.
So he was in Periphery. He's a great artist. It's just a little example. If I go to a show that a lot of people know who I am because I actually put myself out there enough times, where there's some, people that actually know me. That's pretty fucking cool. But, just keep doing that. And then you'll have these people that they'll know who you are, and they know what you do because you put yourself out there and did everything you could with the opportunities that you were given, and made the best of those opportunities, because you don't have all the money in the world, you don't have all the time in the world. So be very strategic about the shows you go to, and go to them, and just, they'll know you're there. You show face, and then they'll come to your shows. And that's the best way to make it of your organic scene. With your organic market, post those experiences on your socials, and then tag the bands. And you know what I mean? It's going to create some, and then you have the other people that do that same thing. And it's going to create a freaking, cross-pollination type of solution where you're going to have people.
You have to, it really, really definitely is to your benefit to go and network with everyone that you're playing a show with. But, rewinding back even a bit, you're talking about contacting venues, contacting promoters, getting on shows. Yeah. You should, you have social media nowadays. You can check out bands who are playing. You can check out bands who are more active in the scene.
Yeah, you can see a lot of people following. There's a lot more data.
A lot of people complain about how their scene is dead. There's no scene nowadays. But no, you're just
You're not
doing it right.
You're not tapping
Yeah,
in.
you're not looking in the right
Target.
places. Like,
we'll talk about that too. That's your customer avatar. Who's your fan, right?
Yeah,
who's the people that are looking
talking about
for your kind of music and the bands that you want to play with.
What we mentioned in the previous episode, like
it connects for sure.
No. I was saying I meant like being quick about set times. Like, say you're a drummer in a band and like you show up and like you can meet the drummer of another band and actually like put a second in to listen to their music and be like, hey, I really appreciate your playing whatever. And then think about this. You're about to go on, you're playing after them, right? You're about to go on and they just played this crazy set and they're all tired. Yeah. You could even ask them if they need help moving their drum kit.
It's going to help the show.
You just made a connection with a drummer that's going to remember you, and then that band wants to play a show or is like setting up or is a part of something. They're going to help you. They're going to reach out to you.
With the venue too.
Like, right. And these are all connections that like they'll last like
lifetime. I still talk to the band. Like, I'm not even kidding, dude. I'm getting excited about it because I have people that still contact me to this day, texting me and like being like, "What's up, man? How are you?" And it's like they don't text anybody else in my band, and it's because I actually was the guy in my band that went out. I didn't go out of my way. I enjoyed the whole experience. Like people that like your music or potentially like your music. You go and talk to them. You have a conversation. You have a nicety. You have to say. You help them. It's like a brotherhood, and there's this exponential effect. Like they know who you are, and they want to hang out with you, and that's pretty cool. You just fucking made the best of your situation. I mean, and then you have people that are going to remember you for a lifetime. I have people that have gotten married. There's dozens of people that have gotten married and went out with each other, have families because they went to our shows. And like these are people I have lifelong relationships with. And I totally came to me right now as I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Obviously, like networking with people and stuff, but like also, marketing as a band. Like from if you're a band, I've heard this from touring artists, bands that have like artists that have made it and make 6 figures touring and stuff. Like. They talk about you go to a new city for the first time or new town or wherever, new venue for the first time, and you're supporting bands or you're there as a touring act, and the local promoter sets up a couple bands as openers for you. Like, great, you make a couple connections. Like, just to put it into perspective, I've heard that not the first time. The first time you go there, it might be like, I don't know, whatever, 20 people, 25 people. The second time you go there, it might be 25, 30 people.
Might be
the
less.
Third time you go, as long as you're like doing your part as a band, if you're doing it right, by the third time you go, you'll start to see people coming back that you talk to, that remember you, that see that you're coming into town. You could target these towns and run ads and basically
we'll get into that.
That's another whole episode. Yeah. But these are all, make it a point to talk to people. Obviously, don't do it if it's like, not safe or something, but you can at least like go to the extent of gauging whether this is someone you want to make a connection with and, really go the extra mile and tag them in posts, take pictures, make the most out of your show. Like you have to operate all these things, move, set up all this gear, be on time. But even within that, it doesn't hurt to throw a friend $50 and a camera to, document some things or whatever.
That always goes along. There's always somebody in a group of people that wants to help out, but they don't know how they can. That's how they can. Yeah. Have them give them a couple bucks and have them just document stuff in the process. Just the story of what you're doing, that's really important. So, in my journey, I have way more to actually apply of the methods we're going to show you because there's people that that I use to help me do what I do that are actually very credible, and we're going to pass those resources on to you on the things that we could do better and that you'll be part of in this journey. This podcast was created
Look at Greg doing a classic tease.
And I got a point to say is like, we're not perfect. There's things we should have been doing that we should be doing that we know if you were doing, you would be that much farther ahead. So we're going to tell you right off the bat. So in my journey, I need to get better at promoting my content to my regular subscribers, which I started building, but you got to keep putting out content, right? I'm going to make excuses, but it's my own fault. But I know that, and I'm owning up to it. And that's why I'm here to tell you, don't let that happen, right? Yeah. So just be on top of it. If you have people you're working with, it makes it that much better, that much easier for you. Yeah. But keep going. Just keep the process. It's a plug and play kind of thing. There's a method to releasing a song, and you do it for another song and another song, and we're going to go into the content part on a later episode because we can dive deep right now. I don't think we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But this is a whole conversation that needs to be had. And if you follow certain steps that are out there, we can point you to those resources, and you could be that much farther ahead. And we're going to go into that later episodes. I'm pumped about it.
So I think we gave some really good advice here as far as like how to get started networking with your organic marketing, because that's the best kind.
Well, they're both the best kind, but it starts with your organic market.
One piece of advice that I think I should give any band playing a venue: ask if you can get a stereo recording of your set at the venue, because most venues have an X32 or Midas M32 console. If you don't even know what that means gear-wise, these consoles, most digital consoles, can record the set with a USB flash drive. Bring a flash drive with you and ask if the sound guy can record your set for you. That way, if anyone took video or if your friend took your whole set on their iPhone, you can sync it up very easily in iMovie, and there you go. There's an entire live set right there that you can utilize on your social media page.
That's great for being resourceful. I mean,
please use that audio. Don't use audio from the video camera. I mean, you can, but most likely it'll just end up making it look
that's a
bad.
good story. That's a good one for stories.
Because God forbid if the sound guy doesn't do their job properly and you can't hear the vocal in it, I'm not going to want to listen to it. It's like watching firework videos on 4th of July. Like, I don't care enough if I can't hear it clearly. But that's one of the reasons why I go out of my way on the main channel that I do, and kind of sort of what started this whole thing is I want to promote the bands that play the venue that I work at to an entire audience of people who may not even know these bands exist. And I can tell that a couple of bands have gotten more followers because of the reach that they've gotten based on my live streams and the vlogs I do on my main channel. Mm-hmm. And just even networking with these bands. Like I said, I will go above and beyond to hype the bands in the videos, to give them like their whole set recorded, and
have people be advocates for you. Have people be advocates for you. I mean, you're gonna you have you have the internet. It's amazing. You can connect with somebody like Chris, and he can advocate for you. Have other people like that advocate for you. Get on the other podcasts. That's another way, a great way of getting yourself out there. That's a great point too.
Just network, and I mean, not to summarize in a dumb way of what we all said tonight. We all made some really good points, but don't be an asshole. Like, it really
you don't have to be an asshole.
It goes a long way of just being kind to your fellow musicians and other bands.
Yeah.
If I can't tell you how many times a drummer forgot their hi-hats, because I don't know why you drummers forget hi-hats.
Forget the clutch.
I mean,
that's why I keep my clutch on the fucking hi-hat.
I don't understand why you drummers forget your hi-hats, but like sometimes when a drummer forgets hi-hats, a fellow drummer will step up and be like, hey, you could borrow mine.
Yeah.
As a drummer, you remember that guy that helped you out get through that gig.
Yeah.
I've actually been in that same exact situation.
I've been in that
where the guy who lent me the piece of gear that I'd left behind, we ended up connecting and did dozens of drum videos together. He's one of my best friends. Like, and like, no. I mean, it's just be nice to people. Obviously network with people. Those connections last. Like, even in your local community. Like, I could personally say that, like, over the course of the past 15 years, like, I know so many people in the scene that have come in and out, bands that have fallen apart, and the same people, the good people that you connect with and are working hard. There's new bands, and those same people they're in the scene. You know what I mean? Like, music is a part of their lives. Like, these people, like, it's a brotherhood. Like Greg was saying, like, to the point where, like, I'm talking to people all the time. Like, people that are great friends of mine going back over a decade, and I almost feel like when something happens in the scene, like, I have ears everywhere. Like, I'm hearing it. It's like I know what band is falling apart, what band drama's going on with who. It's like this whole crazy
gossip.
Yeah. And, like, the good people stick together and take note of the fact that, like, you're not out there to screw them over or thinking of it as a competition. No. Like, you have to, everyone rises together. You have to build a scene. And it's all about seeing
and
support.
You never know just how little of a connection you think how insignificant you may think a connection is, that could spawn an entire partnership creatively.
Right.
Like, Zach and I met in college, and for a project in our mutual class. I thought it was just a one and done. Zach was a good guy. He killed it in the session. I did halfway decently on the engineering part. I was still learning, but that project we did together literally just formed this, and it's a cornerstone of where he is now musically. Is that
we
one
both just
partnership?
kept doing our thing, you know what I mean? Like,
so you never know with one connection that you can make with someone that will help you indefinitely. And if you just show that attitude with everyone that you meet, you're gonna just gain fans naturally, and it's gonna take time.
It's a byproduct of who you are. It's just
people will support you if you're kind to them and you give your heart for everything. And I think on that note, guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Guys, take care.